Hello, witchy people. I have just spent the most amazing afternoon and evening with Miss Lizzie, and I always enjoy being with her, but it was really, really nice to potter around in someone else's garden. Now, I wish I'd taken some photographs because Lizzie's garden is exactly the same as my garden, size-wise. In fact, she lives in a house that is exactly the same as mine, bar the only difference between her house and mine is our kitchen window and back door, because the back door comes off the kitchen, and where my kitchen window is her back door, and where my back door is where her kitchen window is. That's the only difference. So we live in very similar houses and gardens, but her garden, apart from having the most amazing pool in the garden, and it is a huge family size 4 foot deep pool. It's huge. You don't even notice the pool when you go in there. You go into her garden and it's all meandering through just little tidbits of flowers here and there, and you see like she's got wild buttercups growing up through some of her vegetables, and it's this pop of silky sparkling gold in between her flowers. It's beautiful. So I loved it. And whilst I was there relaxing, as you do when you're with good friends, it kind of made me think about how important friendships and understanding friendships and connections are to witches and pagans in general. Obviously, they're important. Friendships and connections are important to everyone worldwide. So I just dropped my microphone. So friendships are important to everybody worldwide. But I think because most witches aren't, although they may be born witches, they don't practice being witches until they're older. And it's quite often, I'd say 60-70% of cases, is that you aren't raised being a witch, and your parents, and quite often your siblings, aren't following the same path as you. They may be Christian or Jewish or Catholic or Muslim or any number of any other different religions and lifestyles. So quite often I think we feel isolated. So when we have a friendship that you are comfortable with, where the other person understands you and you understand them, it's really, really special because you can be yourself. Now, I knew Miss Lizzie before she kind of knew that I was a witch. Before I was a pagan, we became friends and we just clicked. But I think there has to be something there for that click to happen, for that moment of, you're a really good person and you are in my heart. Is that unconscious level of knowing that someone is going to understand you. And it is so important because of this isolation that a lot of witches have. This is why the internet, I think, is so important to witches, because quite often, especially with all the different aspects of witchcraft, the different paths you can follow, we do tend to, a lot of us are very solitary. We don't have covens, and we have this online community going where we don't care really whether someone's a Wiccan or an Egyptian witch or a kitchen witch, a hearth witch. We just all connect. And I think when I think about Lizzie, it's quite funny. I think of her as being, she wasn't raised as a pagan or a witch, but I do think in her heart she is so a witch. She's an incredibly spiritual person, but it's not just that spiritual side of her. She has an affinity with nature and the earth that really, there's something in her soul that she's a witch. She is a witch in all the best ways possible. But yeah, so I think, visiting her today and spending sort of most of the day with her, it really did make me think about how we make connections, how we keep connections, and how special those connections are when we do make them, and how important that is. And I just wanted to share. But like I said, it was really nice pottering around in someone else's garden. Like I said, because her garden is, I mean, you go outside a door and there's everything. There's vegetables and fruits and flowers and bamboos and grasses, and it's all very, it's one of those gardens where you kind of like weave your way through. Even if you're standing in one place, your eye is weaving through, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's so relaxing. And yeah, it was lovely. But her garden is the kind of garden I would like to have if I could be bothered to put that much time in, and or planning. To me, something goes in the ground and it grows, and if it doesn't want to grow, then I'm not going to help it. And I know that's a really awful thing to say, because you're supposed to be so close with nature and everything. But I'm sorry, if it doesn't want to grow, I'm not going to help it, because I'll water it and I'll feed it for the first 6 months to a year. After that, it's on its own. But going back to friendships and connections, I always think you can have more than one soulmate in life, and your soulmate doesn't have to be the person that you're married to. And Lizzie, I mean, my husband is my soulmate, don't get me wrong. So is Lizzie. She's my soulmate as well, because we cannot talk for years, where we've both moved around a fair bit here and there, and we've not talked for years. And when we have started talking again, it's like we pick up the conversation that we left off 2 years beforehand. And I think there is a depth of knowing that maybe, I can't say whether it's not a witchy thing or it is, because I can only speak as the person I am. But there is a depth of knowing in when you meet someone who is so much on the same level as you, whether they follow your path or not, that there is that level of knowing, of understanding that pagan side of someone and feeling an affinity with it. And it is hard to come by. Whether this happens if you're not a witch, I don't know, because like I said, I can't speak for being a person who's not a witch, and if you make those connections and understand that kind of level. But I think there is a connection that you make, there is an understanding that you have with another witch, whether they follow the same path as you or not. You kind of know that a person is, which is nice. So I also had a lovely surprise today. When I came home, it's been a lovely day, sunny weather-wise. It's been sunny, slightly overclouded every now and then, a bit overcast every now and then, so it's stayed quite cool. And I thought when I was away for the 6 or 7 hours I was away for, my husband would do his normal habit, if you like, of going out on a bike ride. He's got motorbikes coming out of his ears. Every shed is full of a motorbike in our garden. But he didn't. And in my last video, I did say that the deck planks that were all spare from the old deck that we used to have were going to be made into something. He made it. Instead of going out on his bike, he used these deck planks, and he made me basically an outside shelf. What it is, when I moved my herb pots, I needed to move them out of the way. And I ended up putting them on my bench, some in front of the bench and some on actually on the seat of the bench. And I really liked the effect of it. And I had this idea that I would like to have two shelves. So it's sort of like a seat with a shelf at the back in nice solid decking wood to stack my herb plants up on. And whilst I was away, he made it for me. And me and Lizzie were actually joking about I can't really say it because it would make it a kind of X-rated video, so you'd have to be an 18 to watch the video. But we were making jokes about men and what you could replace them, and that if a certain piece of equipment could mow the lawn, we wouldn't need men. And I actually sent her a message saying some men, you know, are okay. They're better than this certain piece of bedroom equipment and a lawnmower. So there you go, connections, friendships, gardens, and amazing men and amazing friendships. So, so important. I think I've rambled on enough now, and I'm going to go. Thank you for watching, witchy people. Bye for now.